typing in Fort Lee Bridgman Athletics and check the live link. Don't forget to subscribe and like the game. Thank you and enjoy the game. Good morning and welcome to Fort Lee for today's matchup between the visiting Memorial Tigers and your Fort Lee Bridgman. Now for today's starting lineups. First for the visiting Memorial Tigers. Number 1, Vanessa Montiel. Number 3, Sabrina Suquanagua. Number 11, Yamaleth Flores. Number 23, Rachel Rivera. And number 25, Elaine Alcantara. Head coach, Hussein Abdel. And now the starting lineup for your Fort Lee Bridgman. Number 1, Layla Jones. Number 2, Janelle Lewis. Number 5, Catalina Gill. Number 23, Olivia Hosman. And number 42, Roxanne Perez. Head coach, Kelly Lane. At this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem. Let's play ball.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome here inside East Gymnasium at Fort Lee High School for another edition of Fort Lee girls basketball action. As today, it's a good matchup between the Memorial Tigers, 9-4 on the season, and the Fort Lee Bridgman, 11-2 on the season. Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Long. So glad that you could join us here for Fort Lee girls basketball action, courtesy of the Fort Lee Athletic Department's YouTube channel. I'm alongside our camera operator, Renee Matisich, and our producer, Dimitri Nanis. And this is one that Fort Lee will love to get. This could be a huge boost to their power points in looking at the playoff picture. Memorial sits as the top team in the National Division of the HCIAL in Hudson County. They are a great defensive team, allowing only 26 points per game to opponents. Fort Lee has been soaring so far this season. After dropping their first 2 games of the year, they have won 11 in a row. And the opening tip is won. Initially, it looked like by Fort Lee, but then it's going to be possession and eventually a turnover for Memorial. Just at midcourt, so despite giving up the size advantage there, Janelle Lewis out-jumped Elaine Alcantara. Fort Lee's going to be in the home whites, Memorial defending in the road orange. Hausman takes a shot from the outside, no good. Alcantara takes the rebound down underneath. Hussein Abdel Maksoud is the head coach for the Tigers of Memorial, while Kelly Lane in her first season at the helm of Fort Lee. Knocked around inside, and the loose ball is secured by the Bridgemen. And here comes Fort Lee again, winners of 11 in a row, coming off a lopsided 71-19 victory here at home against Hawthorne, as that's going to be a foul whistled on the floor against Memorial. First foul of the game for either team. Rachel Rivera picks up the foul. For Rivera, that is her first. What a jump stop in the lane. Hung up in the air, but missing on the shot was Lewis. Jump ball, possession arrow will keep possession here for Fort Lee. Janelle Lewis, the senior guard, averaging 26 points per game this season for the Bridgemen. Coming off a 26-point performance against Hawthorne, had a season-high 37 in a win against Bergen Tech a couple of weeks ago. She's been a revelation since coming here to Fort Lee this season for her senior year. Catalina Gill thought about the shot, passed it inside to Perez, and bodies her way inside for the hoop of the harm. And one opportunity for Roxanne Perez. Perez getting the start here today, the junior forward. Looking to complete the three-point play and stake her team out to a 3-0 lead. She'll miss on the foul shot, but will give Fort Lee the first bucket of the day. 2-0 lead for the Bridgemen. First meeting between these two sides since 2013, when Fort Lee won that matchup by a very low score, 25-5 in that game. Memorial, a team that averages only 35 points per game, but again, they have been very stingy defensively. They have won 2 in a row coming into today's action. Thank you for joining us here on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Game started about 10 minutes later than expected because of the JV game running a little later just prior to the start of this one. Another steal and another turnover forced by the Bridgemen. Here comes Fort Lee in transition. Pull-up 3 from deep by Layla Jones. Jones' shot is no good, and that rebound is going to be tracked down by Yvonne Ambrosio Vargas. Number 4 is just coming to this game off the bench for Memorial. Yami Flores, 6.7 points per game. Laying it over to the near side. Montiel getting it up top to Flores. Flores trying to look for an opening, split the defense, but too long on the shot. Here comes Lewis in the open floor. She dizzies her way up the floor, and that's going to be an offensive foul whistled as Montiel had stationed herself underneath the hoop, expecting that foray into the hoop by Lewis. So Lewis will pick up the offensive foul. 1 foul apiece for both teams so far here in the first half. 2-0 lead. Full court pressure being displayed by Fort Lee. Almost shot into their own basket. Leads to the turnover. Here's Gill for a corner 3 ball in front of us. No good. Tracked down, and the ball is tipped out of bounds. Last touch off of Memorial. Flores was trying to say that she was interfered with and was fouled, but instead that ball trickles out of bounds. New life here on offense for Fort Lee. 5:37 left to go here in the first quarter. Low start offensively to this game. Here's Gill giving it over to Perez. Perez was trying to get after it. Ball got dirty on the floor. Memorial comes away with it. Jones now defending as Flores brings it up. Memorial playing the style of basketball that they're used to using on their way to a 9-4 start to the season. They play low-scoring, defensive-oriented games, coming off a 30-25 win against Ferris in a league matchup in their last time over the weekend. Around the perimeter, Montiel getting it over now to Flores. Fort Lee has not given up a point yet in this game. Across the lane, a lot of contact. Montiel missing. Here's Lewis. Lewis pulls up from deep. No good. One and done. Suquinagua getting the rebound. Sabrina Suquinagua, who leads the team with just under 10 rebounds per game. Memorial has the height advantage against Fort Lee here this morning. Fort Lee's going to be trying to knock down some perimeter shots. Speaking of perimeter shots, there's a three ball knocked down by Yami Flores. Memorial takes their first lead of the game at 3-2. Gill across the lane. Back up top to Lewis. Lewis, straightaway three. She answers with a triple of her own. 26 made three of the season for Janelle Lewis. Fort Lee back in the lead, 5-3. Here's the full court pressure, trying to speed up Memorial. Lewis does just that. Gets it over to Catalina Gill. Gill will get it over to Lewis now. Lewis just got on the scoreboard herself, took it hard to the rim, hung up in the air, no good. Fouls her miss though. Secures the loose ball rebound, gives it over to Jones. Jones for three, no good. Rebound underneath, Suquinagua. Another board for number 3. 3.5 minutes left to go in a very low-scoring first quarter. Here's another open three, knocked down to the near side by Flores. She's got all 6 Memorial points. Right around her per-game scoring average now. 6-5 lead for Memorial, back in front. Gill handing it off. Lewis weaving her way. Hausman, three-point shooter. Rattled in and out. It was halfway down. Rebound underneath the hoop by Alcantara. Tigers have never led by more than a point so far in this game. Flores kicking around the perimeter. Ambrosio Vargas. Alcantara. Outline extended. Flores off the dribble, drew the contact and the foul. She was heading to the hoop, and will that foul go against Janelle Lewis? And for Janelle Lewis, that is a concern. That is her second personal foul with 2:36 left to go here in the first quarter. So the leading scorer for the Bridgemen now in foul difficulty with 2:36 remaining in the first. She has picked up her second personal foul, and that'll send Yami Flores to the line shooting a pair. Flores now with all 7 Memorial points here in the first quarter. A pair of threes and now knocking down that first foul shot. The last game, Flores had only 2 points and 2 rebounds of the win against Ferris. Goes 1-2 at the line, and it looks like it's going to be a violation against Fort Lee. So that's going to give another opportunity here for Flores and Memorial at the line after Flores looked to be off on that that second foul shot opportunity. And she makes Fort Lee pay for that violation. Goes 2 of 2 at the line. She's got all 8 points for Memorial. Largest lead for the Tigers now, 8-5. Kelly Lane putting her trust in her leading scorer, keeping her in the game despite the 2 fouls. Pagan is coming to the game along with Ava Zoglu. Normal starters starting off the bench here today. That jumper contended with inside. Rebound pulled down over to the near side as Memorial comes away with it. They've done an exceptional job of boxing out and keeping the Bridgmen off the offensive glass. 2 minutes left to go in the first quarter. Ball movement as Flores now gaining a little more attention. She gets stripped. It's going to be a foul on the floor, not in the act of shooting. I think that might have been a foul whistled against Layla Jones. Her first, team's third. Flores, watched by Jones. Jones nearly got the steal, just tipped out in space. Memorial will track it down. Tigers working around the perimeter, trying to dump it down low. Here's Flores. Flores gets her pass stolen away by Lewis. Easy pickings there for Lewis. She's got 5 in the quarter. Lead down to 1 with 90 seconds left to go in the first quarter. 8-7 lead for Memorial. Tigers have been coughing up possessions here in the first quarter. Fort Lee finally get an easy chance to convert in transition. That'll be their best bet, obviously not having to go against this half-court defense that has been very hard to crack on the offensive end of the floor for the Bridgmen. Now Memorial contending with a 2-3 zone look put out by the Bridgmen. Trying to operate at the foul line. Gill nearly pried it away. 54 seconds and counting left to go here in the first quarter. Two teams have combined for 20 total wins already this season. 11 wins on the season for Fort Lee, 9 for Memorial. This could be a huge game for both teams when it comes to power points and for playoff seeding. There's a long-range 3, no good. Tipped out by Eva Zoglu into the corner, saved by Jones to her teammate Pagan. Great hustle. Now Lewis, transition 3, wasn't stopped, and she stops and pops. Knocks down her second triple of the quarter. Janelle Lewis with 8 points now has given Fort Lee a 10-8 lead. Jones steals it away on the pressure. Another high-range 3. No good this time. Pagan tries to save it, but it's going to be Dean's last touch off of her last. 4.7 seconds left to go in the first. After Fort Lee has been ratcheting up the pressure, turning over Memorial and putting themselves in a position here to take back the lead. 3 seconds left to go in the quarter. Memorial won't get a shot opportunity off in time. And after Memorial had taken their first and largest real lead of the game at 8-5, Fort Lee responds with the last 5 unanswered points of the first to take a 10-8 lead after 1. Stick around, we'll be right back here for the start of the second here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. To the star players taking control in this game. Memorial having 8 points produced by Yamaleth Flores, number 11. She has all 8, I should say, of Memorial's points. And Fort Lee's Janelle Lewis, 8 of the Bridgmen's 10 points in that first quarter. 10-8 lead for the Bridgmen of Fort Lee, and another turnover for Memorial. And that has been their Achilles heel so far in this road contest. They've been turning it over here at a big clip so far in this game. Ellis Avazoglu going hard to the lane, left it short, recovered the loose ball underneath the rim, saved the possession. Jones across the lane, pulls up inside the foul line, and Layla Jones cans her first jumper of the day. First 2 points for number 1 in white. Lead grows to 4. 12-8. Fort Lee on top, largest lead of the half. Here for the Bridgemen, looking for their 12th consecutive win on the season. Flores getting it over. Montiel nearly lost it to Gill. Again, she's struggling to gain control. A loose ball tie up on the floor, and it's going to be a jump ball. Possession arrow will give it over to Fort Lee. Fort Lee 10 wins in a row after beginning the season 0-2. It's their longest win streak since the 2019-2020 season. As Pagan was trying to weave her way through the host of defenders, but couldn't get the handle at the end and turns it over. In that 2019-2020 season, Fort Lee went 17-12 and eventually lost in the sectional final. They're putting up similar type numbers here. Now there's going to be a timeout taken and granted to Memorial as it looked like they were about to turn it over again. 6:54 left to go here until halftime, and Fort Lee on top of Memorial by a score of 12-8. Seeing that it's less than a month away from the cutoff date when playoff seeding would occur, it's never too early to take a little quick sneak peek at what the playoff picture is starting to develop. Fort Lee competing in North 2 Group 3 this season. Right now, coming into play today, they would be the number 4 seed in terms of power points. Number 1 is Randolph. Number 2 is Chatham. Number 3 is Milburn. And right behind Milburn is Fort Lee. A game like this one today against an opponent that has already 9 wins on the season, is a Group 4 team, and with the residual points at stake, could be huge for Fort Lee in pushing them into consideration for one of the top 2 seeds. And obviously, if you gain one of the top 2 seeds, you're playing home games all the way to a potential sectional final. What a debut season under the tutelage and a watch and coaching of Kelly Lane. Big reason here, the play of Layla Jones. Jones, another steal produced out to Lewis. Lewis missed everything that time. A rare brick thrown up by Lewis. Montiel desperately trying to get it past the half court. Gets it over to Flores. Flores just gets it over the timeline. But then it's fumbled away out of bounds on the near corner by Rivera. That pass too hot to handle, and right now the Tigers struggling just to settle things down and even get shot opportunities up. Jones. Here's Gill trying her luck from distance. No good. Tracked down by Juliana Sorda. Where can the offense come from for Memorial without number 11 taking the shots? Montiel. Outletted. Stolen away briefly by Pagan. Tried her best to save it in bounds, but did so into the hands of Memorial. And now it's going to be a reach-in foul against Fort Lee. 4th team foul of the half, and I believe that's against Layla Jones. For Jones, that would be her 2nd as well. So Jones and Lewis playing with 2 fouls apiece. Memorial trying to attack right at Lewis. Tigers have allowed only 21.5 points per game in their current 2-game win streak. Good extra pass. Leads to the open 3. Knocked down on the far side by Rachel Rivera. 12-11, Fort Lee's lead is now cut down to 1. Pagan dribbling, top of the key, jumping it down low. Ava Zoglu trying to curl around, got that deflected, and they're going to say last touch off of the senior center for Fort Lee. Fort Lee once again administering the full court pressure. Flores trying to be bottled up in the corner. Got away from Catalina Gill. Rivera. Montiel. Memorial is led by as many as 3 in this game. Fort Lee is led by as many as 4 just moments ago. Rivera who just canned a 3. Drive and dish up top. Montiel. As the defense trying to recover. Ball is loose on the deck. No whistle by the officials. They're still letting them play. Gill comes away with it. Catalina Gill going the other way, and that's going to be a blocking foul against Rivera. She wasn't permanently stationary as she was shifting, trying to get in front of Gill to draw the offensive foul. Heady play there by Catalina Gill, and that'll send Gill to the line, shooting 2. Gill knocks down the first foul shot. Senior guard averaging 9.2 points per game this season, coming off a 7.4 assist performance in the win against Hawthorne over the weekend here at East Gym. Had a season high 14 points against Hackensack. Gill knocks down a pair. Solid foul shooting display there by Catalina. Her first 2 points of the day, back to a 3-point advantage for Fort Lee. And again, Memorial close to turning it over. It's going to be a jump ball. Possession arrow still favors possession for Memorial. 4:26 remaining in this first half, 14-11. Fort Lee led 10-8 after the first quarter. Here again, this full court pressure really speeding up Memorial. They finally get it past midcourt. Here's Flores. Flores getting stripped from behind, and that leads to the turnover secured by Jones. Here comes Layla Jones in the open floor. Euro stepping, throwing it up high, no good. There's a rebound snatched down by Sukunu Agua. Tries to get it down the floor to her teammate Flores, but left it behind in the lane. Turnovers aplenty now here for Memorial, up to double digits in this first half. Here's Janelle Lewis cutting through the defense. What a move! And lays it in. She's got 10. Sidestepped a couple of Memorial defenders and found her way into the paint for the layup. A dazzling move there by Janelle Lewis. She's got a game-high 10 points here in the first half, and it's 16-11, the lead for Fort Lee. Past the midway point of our second quarter of action. Tigers of Memorial come into today's game. They're hot as well, having won 7 of their last 9 games since December 28th. Last season, Memorial went 15-8 overall, advanced to the first round of the North 1 Group 4 sectional playoffs before being eliminated by Morristown. And again, right now, they're in first place in their division. And when taking a look at the North 1 Group 4 power points race, they would be the 8th seed in the upcoming state tournament, with Kearney right now positioned as the top overall seed. Fort Lee again coming into play today. They would be the number 4 seed in North 2 Group 3, but this could be a huge haul of power points if they win this game against Memorial, which could push, potentially, Fort Lee into one of the top 2 spots. And again, if you garner one of those top 2 seeds, you don't have to play away from home until a sectional final. Bridgman 11-2 on the season. 4-2 here at home. Those first 2 losses of the year both came here at East Gymnasium. They lost to Tenafly 68-58 and then Westwood 62-56, but they have been flawless ever since. 3:40 left to go in the first half. 16-11, largest lead of the game right now for Fort Lee at 5. Memorial inbounding it. Valeria Flores has come into the game. And now a holding call against Fort Lee. That foul will be charged against Sophia Pagan. For Pagan, that is her first, team's 5th. Quickly trying to get it down the floor to Valeria Flores. But Flores gets it poked away from behind. Fort Lee has been so adept at doing that as trail defenders throughout the course of this first half. Here's a step back 3 for Jones. Swishes it home from deep. Third three-pointer of the half for Fort Lee. Lewis knocks it out of bounds. 19-11, the lead now for Fort Lee. Layla Jones with 5 points in the half. Jones knocking down her 22nd made 3 of the season. She and Janelle Lewis have been the dynamic duo this season, coming here to Fort Lee and turning this program completely around. Looking for a 5-second call, but the official's not giving it. Alcantara lost possession and tried to get around her defender, but Ava Zoglu did a good job of not giving an inch and also not fouling in the act. Turnover gives it back to the Bridgemen. Under 3 minutes left to go until halftime. 19-11, Fort Lee on top. This is their largest lead of the contest. Lewis hard across the lane, giving it off to Pagan. Tried to weave her way through the defense, but took that extra step rather than when she got the initial pass going straight up. So a turnover there for Fort Lee, and again, full court pressure being displayed by the Bridgemen. Quickly trying to outlet it up. Memorial now taking less time to get the passes going. That's a missed shot in tight quarters. Lewis sets and fires, knocks it down. Janelle Lewis's third three of the first half. She's got a game-high 13. Memorial throwing it over the top of the Fort Lee full court pressure. Fort Lee is now doubled up Memorial, 22-11. Coming up on the final 2 minutes of the first half. Long-range three by Flores. Off the back iron, tipped around inside. Offensive rebound brought down by the Tigers. And that's a kiss shot off the glass there for Memorial. A much-needed bucket to stop that run of late for Fort Lee. That was Yurlan Rodriguez, number 2, who got the bucket. Another three-point attempt that time by Lewis, no good. Pagan muscles her way inside for the offensive rebound. Last touch, though, out of bounds off of Fort Lee. Montiel. Fancy dribbling, got around a couple of defenders. 1:15 and counting now left to go in the first half. Around the perimeter, trying to poke it away was Lewis. Lewis again with 2 fouls in the first quarter. She's been good at not picking up that third foul so far. Another bank shot attempt, no good by Memorial. Rebound, bounce into the hands of Ava Zoglu. Lewis stops and pops again, drains it from deep. Her 4th made 3 of the first half. 16 points now for the 1,000-point scorer. A steal produced by Ava Zoglu. Now here's Lewis, weaving her way through, just a little too fast there for her own good, as Lewis lost the handle out of bounds for the turnover. But Lewis with 16 points. She's got more points than Memorial does have in this first half. That is a pass that is stolen easily into the hands by Layla Jones. Jones has all 7 of her points here in the second quarter, as the lead grows to 14, 27-13 for Fort Lee. This was a 2-point lead for Fort Lee after 1. Flores across the lane draws the contact. So Ava Zoglu will pick up the foul. That'll be the 16th foul, but also in the act of shooting. That'll send Flores to the line, shooting a pair. She scored all 8 of her points in the first quarter, is yet to get on the board here in the second. That remains the case after she missed the foul shot. 2 of 3 at the line so far in this game. Fort Lee has allowed only 5 points in this second quarter. They have put the clamps on defensively. That full court pressure really getting to Memorial. Flores goes 1 of 2 at the line. She's got 9. Leading scorer for Memorial. Leading scorer in this game, the woman with the ball, Janelle Lewis. 16 points. Jones lost it on her way up. She's incredulous on why there was no foul call. And they're going to give possession back over to Memorial, 27-14. 8.5 seconds left to go before halftime. Again, full court pressure. Ball is loose on the hardwood. A steal produced by Fort Lee. Can they get a shot off in time? They do, and they can. Another big range shot, a 3, as the shot was good there by Lewis. And Fort Lee will take a 16-point lead into halftime as Lewis caught fire there in the second quarter, knocking down 3 of her 5 made threes in the game. She's got 19, and the Bridgmen lead 30-14 over Memorial in a tough, hard-fought affair here at East Gymnasium. Stick around as we'll be back for the start of the second half as you're watching all the broadcast coverage of Fort Lee girls basketball here on Fort Lee's YouTube channel. Welcome back inside East Gymnasium as we're moments away from the resumption of play in the start of the second half. Fort Lee started to distance themselves from Memorial in the showdown between two top teams. Fort Lee on top of Memorial by a score of 30-14. The Bridgmen led by 2 after the first quarter of play, but then outscored Memorial by a margin of 20-6 in that second quarter alone as Janelle Lewis caught fire, pouring in 11 of her game-high 19 in that second quarter alone, knocking down 5 made threes in the entire first half for Fort Lee. Looking at the stats from the first half play, Yamile Flores leads the scoring for Memorial. She had 9 of her team's 14 points in the first half. Rachel Rivera had 3, and Yorlan Rodriguez added 2. Memorial was 3 of 4 at the foul line and knocked in 3 threes in that first half. Fort Lee led again by the game-high 19 of Janelle Lewis. Layla Jones had 7. Catalina Gill chipped in 2, as well as Roxanne Perez added 2 points as well. Fort Lee went 2 for 3 at the foul line in the first half, and the Bridgmen 6 made threes in that first half of action. Fort Lee trying to zone in on their 12th consecutive win on the season, and again, this would be a huge win against a very quality opponent in the Memorial Tigers. 9-4 on the season. Fort Lee 11-2. Fort Lee in their home white, Memorial defending in their road orange. I'm Dan Long, joined alongside by Renee Matisich and Dimitri Nanis. Glad you could join us here for some action on this Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Jones, who leads the team with assists per game this season, handing it off to Lewis. Lewis had her shot disrupted a bit. Good defensive work there by Memorial to start off the second half. Now for Memorial, a team that only averages around 35 points per game. How can they get going offensively? That shot was airballed, but then pinballed around back into the hands of Flores. Flores had a hot start to this game, scoring 8 points in the first quarter alone. Only held to 1 point in that second quarter on a made foul shot late in the second. Montiel stripped on her way through the middle of the lane. Outlet down the floor. Jones puts Flores in the spin cycle, and they're going to say before the foul that probably going to be a travel, and it is. Layla Jones spun around a little too much doing the 360-degree turn. That's going to be a turnover there as she was trying to spin around her defender going up for the layup. Pressure being displayed again here as Rivera was able to break it after Jones gambled and didn't come away with any possession of the ball. Around the perimeter, now into the corner. Suquinagua getting it back up top to Rivera. Fort Lee throwing out a 2-3 zone look. Memorial content with running a little clock here. They trail by 16. Now Lewis has outscored Memorial themselves, and that's going to be a travel extra step against Alcantara. Looked like she was doing a good post move. She towers over any player on the floor. Fort Lee, as they've been doing all season long, using their speed and quickness. Extra pass, finding Ava Zoglu for the layup on the far side. Ellis Ava Zoglu's first 2 points. Pass up top, stolen away, but Lewis just had it trickle out of bounds on the near sideline. 6:21 left to go in the third. 32-14 lead for Fort Lee. This is a Bergen County, Hudson County showdown. We've already seen one Memorial Tigers team play here at East Gymnasium this season. We saw the boys participate once again in the Jack Riley Holiday Tournament. Fort Lee defeated Memorial in a semifinal game. Now the girls trying to do the same here. And there's a transition 3 knocked down by Layla Jones off the assist from Janelle Lewis. Jones up to 10 points in the game. Her second made 3. Pagan getting dirty, gives it off to Lewis. Lewis is fouled and one. That was all hustle by Sophia Pagan to force the turnover. Then Pagan got it to her teammate. Janelle Lewis got fouled on her way up. Lewis got the layup. She's got 21 in the game And Fort Lee starting to pull away here early in the second half. Lewis swishes home her first foul shot attempt of the game. She's got 22 points. Errant pass, though. Got over to the far side of Sukanagwa and got a reach and foul against Ava Zoglu. A little out of position there, took the wrong angle. Got a call for the reach in foul. One foul apiece now for both teams so far here in the second half. Rivera lines it up from deep. She's got 1-3 in the game. Alcantara uses that height advantage to secure the loose ball rebound. Largest lead of the game now is 24. That one dribbled off of the heel of Rivera, out of bounds. And Fort Lee is suffocating Memorial now on this end of the floor on defense. Fort Lee defensively allows less than 38 points per game, and they are showing that formula of success. Janelle Lewis going off on offense, so the defense just being stingy on the other end. Lewis got stripped to the ball. Here's a rare transition opportunity for Memorial. Rivera rushed the layup, though. Missed the layup. Here comes Lewis in the open floor the other way. Up and under move. Left it short. Trying to follow her own miss. Here again is Memorial going down the other way. Good recovery defense. And coming from the blind side was Janelle Lewis for another forced turnover from behind. Fort Lee has forced maybe 10 or so steals, just poking it from behind. Here's Layla Jones. Jones airballed that three. Rivera with the rebound. 4.5 minutes now remaining in this third quarter of play. Fort Lee trying to go to 5-2 here at home. Also go to 12-2 on the season. Make it 12 consecutive wins. Cross-court pass. What a recovery defense underneath by Ava Zoglu. Came out of nowhere to steal that pass away. Jones, teardrop across the lane. Fumbled away after the miss. And the rebound secured by Flores. So Memorial held to 14 points in that first half. And through 4 minutes of this second half, they're still stuck on that 14-point number. 8 points in the first quarter, only 6 in the second quarter. Alcantara trying to muscle her way to the hoop. That's going to be a foul on the floor against Fort Lee. Ava Zoglu was trying to state her case that she was staying in her position. Instead, she gets called for the foul. Rivera will trigger the inbounds. Try to quickly get it inside to Sordo. At the post, working around the perimeter, here's Rivera for three. No good. Crashing the offensive glass, Sukanagwa. Another rebound for the team's leading rebounder. Again, it's been a story of struggles here on offense. Once again, off the hands of a Tiger player. Lewis pulls up from straight away, and she rattles home her sixth made three of the game. She is so dangerous in a broken play because the defense just sloughs back and she just picks them apart from deep. Give and go between Jones and Lewis. Lewis maneuvers her way inside. It's the Janelle Lewis show. She's got 27 points in this game. And a chance again at a three-point play. Unselfish play there. Jones got it to Lewis, back to Jones, and then once again right back to Lewis for the and one opportunity. Roxanne Perez will come back into the game for Fort Lee as Janelle Lewis approaching 30 points in this game. And Lewis now with the made foul shot has 28 points. She has doubled up Memorial herself. 6 made threes in the game for Janelle Lewis as well. That pass stolen away by Catalina Gill. Up the floor to Lewis. Lewis with a left-hand layup. Give her 30. 46-14. Fort Lee playing like an elite team right now against one of Hudson County's best best teams on the year. Montiel's shot left short. Here comes Catalina Gill. Lewis, extra pass, now up top to Jones. Another 30-point performance this season for Janelle Lewis. She's got 37 as her high watermark so far this year as a Fort Lee Bridgman. Had the 37 points in a win recently against Bergen Tech on January 7th. 7 points away from tying that mark. That pass thrown away into the far sideline. Out of bounds, a turnover. Gives it back to Fort Lee, 2:01 left to go. 46-14, Fort Lee in front. Gill handing it off to Jones. Jones across the lane, drive and dish inside for Perez. Perez gets fouled, and she'll head to the foul line with 1:46 left to go in the third quarter. Roxanne Perez got the start here today. Had 2 points in the first quarter. 0 of 1 at the line so far this afternoon. Rivera comes back in as Vanessa Montiel will sit down for Coach Hussein Abdel Maksoud. As Perez goes 1 of 2, that trip to the line, she's now got 3 points in the game. Again, this is a Memorial program that won 15 games a season ago, already with 9 wins this season. And they've been shell-shocked here on the road at Fort Lee. Flores, high running layup attempt, no good. Out of bounds, last touch off of the Tigers. Largest loss of the season for Memorial. They lost to Nutley 49-17 back on December 27th. They're in that same spot right now, and it's the third quarter, 47-14 for Fort Lee. Cruising their way to what would be their 12th consecutive win on the season. Lewis, watched by Flores, step back 3, looking for her 7th triple of the game. As that's ricocheted out of bounds, last touch off of Memorial. So possession will stay with Fort Lee with 1:07 left to go in the third. Olivia Hausman back into the game. Up top to Catalina Gill. Gill to Perez on the baseline. And Gill gets bumped on her way to the hoop, but not in the act of shooting. That'll be the 4th team foul against Memorial on the blocking foul. With under a minute now left to go in the game, in the quarter, and a nice move there by Catalina Gill. Gill's got 4 points in the game, her first main basket. Fort Lee up to 49 points here with 45 seconds and counting left to go in the third. Memorial has yet to score in this third quarter. They had 14 points at halftime. Rivera trying to go back door. Stolen away by Lewis. Lewis outlets it down the length of the floor. Can Jones get to it? Could not get to it in time. Just try to play it underneath the hoop, though. Memorial getting it. Nice fake there. And there's the first points of the quarter for Memorial. As Flores now with a game-high 11 for the Tigers. 49-16. 5 seconds and counting left to go in the quarter. Lewis curling on the baseline, tried to get the shot up, hit into the side of the backboard, and that will end the third quarter of play, and Fort Lee continues to pull away here, outscoring Memorial in that third quarter alone, 19-2. As we head to the fourth quarter, as Fort Lee about to go to 12-2 on the season and one of their most impressive performances of the year. Bridgman on top of the Tigers, 49-16. Stick around as we'll come back for the start of the fourth quarter here on YouTube. One of the best performances of the season so far for Kelly Lane's Bridgman as Fort Lee lead 49-16 heading into the start of the fourth quarter here at East Gymnasium. They outscored Memorial 19-2 in that third quarter after leading by 16 at halftime. Over to the far side, Jones finding Lewis, and Lewis with another layup. She's got 32. 5 points away from, again, her season high, which was 37 against Bergen Tech. 51-16. Tough day of the office here for Memorial on the road. Flores has been the bright spot for the Tigers. Missed on that three. She's got 11. Now give and go. Lewis to Jones underneath. Jones, the beneficiary of that pass. 12 points now for Layla Jones. Now the question is going to be, how much longer will Coach Kelly Lane keep her starters in this game? Just a minute gone by here in the fourth quarter, but this game not in doubt. Catalina Gill steals it away. Gill the other way. Uncontested right-hand layup. And Catalina Gill now with 6 points. 55-16. Again, this is the first meeting between these two schools since 2013. Fort Lee has won the last 3 consecutive meetings against Memorial and about to make it 4 in a row. With pressure from behind by Perez and Hausman. Up top now, as Rivera will get it to Montiel. Flores, cross court. Rivera sets and fires. Outside of that first made three that she made in the second quarter, she has not been able to knock anything down since. As that trickles out of bounds, last touch off of Fort Lee. Stolen away by Gill. Gill trying to go coast to coast with it, and that's going to be an offensive foul whistled against Catalina Gill. Good positional defense. Drawing the charge was Vanessa Montiel. So correction, the season high for Lewis has been 39 in the win against North Bergen. Inside, Alcantara missing on a couple of opportunities. Got another offensive rebound, and this time got fouled in the act of shooting. Good hustle inside by Elaine Alcantara. And the senior will head to the foul line, trying to get on the board. And she does. Nice shooting form there. Swishes home the first made shot. First point of the afternoon. That time, left it a little short. So she'll settle for the 1 for 2 at the line of that last trip. 55-17. Again, Fort Lee's Janelle Lewis has outscored Memorial herself. 32 points in this game for number 2 in white. Layla Jones with 12 points. Catalina Gill with 6. The 3 leading scorers today for the Bridgmen. That's going to be a backcourt violation against Memorial. Another turnover. Have to be closing in, if not already there, at around 20 turnovers in this game for Memorial. Probably even exceeding that number. Fort Lee's defense has been chaotic and suffocating. Gill again to the right side. High off the glass. She uses the angle perfectly. And Catalina now with 4 points in the quarter, 8 points in the game. 57-17, Fort Lee on top. This was a 2-point game after the first 8 minutes. 3 was no good to the near side. Alcantara again, hard across the lane, and once again is going to be rewarded for her hustle. As she will head to the foul line to shoot 2. Alcantara's second made foul shot of the game. And she goes 2 for 2 that trip. Now 3 for 4 in the last couple of possessions. She's got 3 points in the game. Lewis to the right side. Stops and pops. Got a lot of contact, but no call, and it's going to be last touch off of her last. As she goes out of bounds, 4:34 left to go here in regulation. And now Layla Jones will take a breather. Coming in is Jacqueline Martinez, the freshman guard, with 4 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists last time out in the win against Hawthorne. So a couple of lopsided wins here for Fort Lee. Not only are they winning games, but these games aren't being close right now. They are playing at another level. Here's Gill again, forcing the turnover. There it goes to Lewis. Lewis is so adept at hanging in the air as well, knowing that potential contact is coming. 34 points now for Janelle Lewis. Flores, nice move to the rim and finishes. Down the left, Flores with a game-high 13 for Memorial. As we've reached past the midway point to the fourth quarter, 59-21. The lead for Fort Lee, and this is going to be a big one in terms of power points yet again, as that one deflects off the thigh of Catalina Gill and out of bounds. This is going to be a big one in terms of the playoff picture for Fort Lee. They're going to get a lot of power points after this victory, and that could push them into position. Right now, coming into play today, they were 4th in power points behind Randolph, Chatham, and Milburn, but only 2 points behind Milburn for 3rd. And they've been in that top 2 at different points in this season. Here's Lewis, pulls up another 3. The 7th made 3 of the game for Janelle Lewis, and Lewis is up to 37 points. Here's Lewis. She can tie her season high, and she does. 39 for Lewis now. At the 39 points against North Bergen, and Fort Lee cruising here with 3:01 remaining in regulation as Janelle Lewis putting on a show. 39 points, matches her season high, as she has shown why she is one of the top players in all of North Jersey basketball. So Janelle Lewis now with a career high 39 points here in her Fort Lee career. That ties her 39 points that she put up recently on the road at North Bergen in a 73-48 victory. Nice hard move there by Flores. Flores up to 15 points. We don't know the official record book, and you have to think this is close to the school record. As Lewis missed on that shot opportunity, she can sense she's closing in on 40 points in this game. Missed on a couple of layup attempts inside. Flores across the lane. Now over to near side. Flores, 15 of her team's 23. Give her 3 more. Flores up to 18 points. That's her 3rd made 3 of the game. 64-26. Under 2 minutes left to go in regulation. Step back 3. Lewis missing on that 3, left it short. Looks like she is desperately trying to get to the 40-point plateau. Mike Quelliar was coming to the game. Now Flores, not guarded, steps back for 3. No good. Perez tries to get the rebound, but it's tipped out inside. That shot too high and too far over the rim. Here's Lewis not being stopped, and there's 41 points and a timeout taken by, looks like Kelly Lane, as she'll just use that opportunity to bring in a sub. So Janelle Lewis now with 41 points in the game with 1:21 remaining in the fourth. 66-26. A historic performance here this afternoon on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day for number 2 in white for the Bridgmen. 41 points in this game. 7 made threes for Lewis. Just an insane individual performance. Coming up on the final minute of action here as Memorial's 2-game win streak will come to an end, and Fort Lee's win streak will continue. It will grow to 12 straight wins on the year. That's worked around the perimeter, trying to drop it off inside. Shot from distance, no good. Trying to get to the rebound was Ileana James, as that will go out of bounds. Last touch off of James. The freshman had an 8.7 rebound performance in the last game against Hawthorne. So after Fort Lee put up 71 points their last game, they put up 66 here, while only allowing 26. And again, this will do wonders for their playoff picture, as we're less than a month away from the cutoff point for the postseason. Pagan, hard across the lane, withers the contact and one. Sophia Pagan's first 2 points of the game, and the senior with a chance at a 3-point play with 25.8 seconds left to go here in the fourth. Pagan missing on the foul shot. 20 seconds left to go, as Fort Lee not only came to play today, but making a statement in the process against a good Memorial side. Hausman did a good job of boxing out. Last touch out of bounds off of Memorial. So Memorial will fall to 9-5 on the season. Fort Lee will move to 12-2 on the year. And the good times continue to roll here inside East Gymnasium. The Bridgmen have extended their win streak to 12 straight, behind a historic performance of number 2, Janelle Lewis. Lewis scoring 41 points in the victory here today for Fort Lee. So Fort Lee victorious yet again here at home. They go to 5-2 inside East Gymnasium. And again, a historic performance. Congratulations to Janelle Lewis. 41 points in the win here today against Memorial. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and supporting these student athletes from both fine schools. And thank you for watching on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. For Renee Matisich and Dimitri Nanis, I'm Dan Long saying so long and enjoy your Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Take care, everybody.